So why do we have teams? We are social human beings, and teams have an important function. They help us bond with other people. They give us a shared sense of purpose. And interestingly, teams work best when we've got people in a team who are all quite different to each other, who bring different qualities so that we can bounce ideas off each other and also distribute tasks in the team. Of course, at the moment, we've got lots of disruption and isolation. Why is this difficult for teams? Well, the research on virtual teams shows us that virtual teams work better if first we have a long period where we can establish virtual ways of working. Then we work virtually. But of course, all of us got thrown at the deep end, where we had to make this transition to virtual working very, very swiftly. And that means that we might not have established the mechanisms for how do we actually check in with each other? How do we want to work with each other? What actually is our common purpose now that things are so very, very different? So all of these things mean that actually it's hard for teams at the moment. Teams tend to work better when we're all quite different from each other, but that doesn't necessarily make it easy to read other people and also to know intuitively how to support them. So, for instance, somebody who is naturally much more of an introvert, you will often witness that they're in a virtual team meeting, yet they don't say anything. Does it necessarily mean that they don't have anything to say? No, absolutely not. Whereas somebody who is at the opposite end of the spectrum, who is very extrovert, very out there, you might actually find that they dominate a team meeting for the best hour or so. And you'll find that other people might not get their say. So very, very different preferences here. But it takes some skill and some negotiation in your team to make sure that everybody can make a valid and meaningful contribution. Let's talk about managers and leaders and how to lead virtual teams. There is absolutely no doubt that this takes extra effort because you need to have absolute clarity for ways of working, establish and agree that with the team. You also need to make an extra effort to be checking in with your team members. Are they well? Do they know what they should be doing? Have they also built up effective peer networks between themselves so that they can support each other? And lastly, the very, very simple rule is communication, communication, communication. Don't ever think that you've said things often enough. It never, ever hurts to re-emphasize what the team needs to be doing, but also to thank them for their efforts, particularly in these uncertain times. Research tells us that psychological safety is of huge importance because if you're working in a context where psychological safety is high, people are going to be performing better, but they're also going to be more well in themselves, mentally and physically. So how do you create psychological safety? Well, there are 3 rules. You need to build adequate support in your team where you as a leader and manager are supporting your team, but also make sure that your team members have got good mechanisms for supporting each other. You need to make a real effort that the interactions and the quality that you have with each and every one of your team members is good. So it's not just about what you say and how often you say it, it's also how you really, truly and deeply connect with others in your team. And lastly, psychological safety is about work design. And here I don't mean about how your desk is set up at home. No, it's about the features of your work. You need to be doing work that is meaningful, that give you the opportunity for autonomy and also proactivity, where you can actually put ideas forward and have them heard, which is so important, particularly in a startup context.